Good morning, my dear children. Today we will study the age of the Guptas given in your history book. As you know, the last empire of the Mauryan dynasty was Brihadratha, and after the decline of the Mauryan Empire, two large political entities, the Kushanas and the Satavahanas, emerged in North India. Both the kingdoms declined in around the middle of 3rd century CE. Prior to that, in the middle of the 4th century CE, a new empire arose in the Ganga Valley which had control over the large part of India. It was Gupta Empire. This empire ruled for more than 200 years, and this age is very important in the history of India because it was characterized by peace, prosperity, a spirit of religious tolerance and progress in the fields of culture and science. And this is the reason many historians refer to this period as the golden age of Indian history. We come to know all this through archaeological and literary sources. In literary sources, we have Allahabad pillar inscriptions, remains of temples such as Dashavatara temple at Deogarh. You can see here in the image caves, paintings at Ajanta, and also the coins issued by the Gupta rulers are the archaeological sources for this period. And if we talk about the literary sources, accounts of foreign travelers such as Fayan tells us a lot about that era, and Kalidasa's Meghaduta and Abhijana Shakuntalam is also a great literary source to know about the Gupta age. Now let's know about Chandragupta I. Chandragupta I was son of Ghatotkacha. He made effective use of his strong army. Through his marriage with Lichavi Princess Kumara Devi, Chandragupta I received the ownership of rich mines full of iron ore adjacent to his kingdom. And also, with the support of the Lichavis, he managed to carve out a big empire which covered modern Bihar, Jharkhand, and eastern Uttar Pradesh. He was addressed as Maharaja Dhiraja, which means the king of kings. Samudragupta was son of Chandragupta I. He was the greatest ruler of the dynasty. He was military genius and he continued the growth of the kingdom. After conquering the remainder of North India, Samudragupta turned his eyes to South India and added a portion of it to his empire by the end of his southern campaign. It is generally believed that during his time, the Gupta Empire spanned from the Himalayas in the north to the mouth of Krishna and Godavari rivers in the south. From Balkh, Afghanistan in the west to the Brahmaputra river in the east. You can imagine how big his empire was. Samudragupta was very attentive to Raj Dharma, that means duties of king, and took special care to follow Kautilya's Arthashastra. We come to know all this about him from the Allahabad pillar inscription that was composed by Hari Sena. Hari Sena was the court poet of Samudragupta. Allahabad pillar inscription lists the rulers against whom Samudragupta fought, and it also describes the policy that he followed towards each set of rulers. In the north, Samudragupta defeated 4 powerful kings and numerous smaller kings. After this, he was able to bring the present day Delhi and western Uttar Pradesh under his control, as I already told you how he was expanding his kingdom. and these areas were directly under his control. And Samudragupta defeated 12 rulers of the Deccan and the far south. I have told you this also in the beginning, that he expanded his kingdom in the south, but he did not added these kingdoms to his territory because he felt that it would be very difficult to control them from north. So he was not ruling it directly. He asked the rulers of those places to pay annual tribute and accept Samudragupta as their overlord. Samudragupta also defeated many kingdoms of east such as Nepal, Assam and Bengal, and these rulers also had to accept his authority, and also they were compelled to pay a certain amount to the ruler. Samudragupta defeated the tribal republics in Punjab and Rajasthan and forest tribes of Vindhya region, and these rulers also offered tributes and gifts to the king. So you can see how smartly he was expanding his kingdom. And because of this, Vincent Smith, a famous historian, has described Samudragupta as Napoleon of India. Samudragupta was very religious, and he also started Ashwamedha Yagya again to show his supremacy. We have already studied what is Ashwamedha Yagna, right? So he again started it and he showed his political supremacy. He followed Hinduism, but his belief never came in the path of acceptance of other religion. He equally treated every religion. He was tolerant towards all other religion. We can say this because he allowed Meghavarna, the king of Sri Lanka, the permission to build a Buddhist monastery at Gaya. Samudragupta was not just a conqueror, he was a poet and a musician also. As you can see in the coins, he is shown as playing the veena, which shows that he was deeply interested in music. This is the coin of Chandragupta II. He was next Gupta emperor after his father Samudragupta. He proved to be an able ruler and conqueror with many achievements to his credit. He came to be known by his title Vikramaditya. Vikramaditya means son of power. He carried on the legacy of Samudragupta and contributed his share towards sustaining an extensive empire that carved out a place for itself in history. He successfully defeated the Shakas and he got control over the ports of Broj, Cambay and Sopara, and with this he was able to control the trade with western world. Not only this, he gave his daughter in marriage to the Vakataka king of the Deccan, and because of this marriage alliance his position is strengthened. In doing so, he gained friendship of the Vakatakas, and Gupta Empire reached the peak of glory under Chandragupta II. He was art and literature aficionado, and Navratnas or the 9 gems lived in his court. Poet and dramatist Kalidas was one of them, and it was his reign during which Fahyan visited India. After Chandragupta II, his son Kumaragupta succeeded him. And like his father, Kumaragupta was also a very great and able ruler. He was able to keep the vast empire which extended from North Bengal to Kathiawar and from the Himalayas to the Nirbuda intact. He ruled efficiently for nearby 40 years. However, the last days of his reign were not good. Gupta Empire was threatened by the invasion of Pushyamitras. The Pushyamitras were a tribe of foreigners who were settled in central India. However, Kumaragupta was successful in defeating the invaders and performed Ashwamedha Yajna To celebrate his victory, he issued new coins with images of Lord Kartikeya. Kumar Gupta died in AD 455 and was succeeded by his son Skand Gupta. During his reign, the invasion of the Huns became more frequent. Skandagupta repelled their early invasion and recovered most of the imperial provinces. Skandagupta's successors were weak and incapable of repelling the repeated Huns invasions, and this decided the decline of Gupta age. That's it for today, children. If there is any confusion, please ask. Thank you.